In the news this week, Dr. Andrew Miller talks about the end of his term at the top of the AMA and the way forward. A WAMA News exclusive.
Bring them home, please. A vigil held calling on the government to release the Biloela family.
On the rise, 30 to 49-year-old age groups roll up for Western Australia.
And on Western Perspective, Prime Minister's brief visit to Perth before the G7.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. I'm not going anywhere is the message WA's top doctor has for Western Australians as his term as AMA WA President draws to a close. In his first interview about the end of his term, Dr. Miller joined me earlier to chat about what we can expect from him, his successor Mark Duncan-Smith, and the AMA going forward. Dr. Miller, thanks for your time. You are less than 1 week away from finishing as AMA WA President. For the last 2 years, you have to admit that you're one of the most successful leaders in your organisation's history.
Do I? No, I think I've just done my job. The AMA is a big team. I've been at the front of the team for this last couple of years, but we have been in an unprecedented time with the pandemic. It's been very important that the profession's voice been heard loud and clear, and we've also had a lot of issues with the delivery of public health in state hospitals. So certainly we've been vocal about these things, but I'm just one person. I will still be involved in the team going forward, and our messages will remain very similar.
So what we can expect from your successor, Mark Duncan-Smith?
Well, the AMA is a very big team. We'll continue to deliver the same messages and policies from our council. Mark and I have a lot in common. We have our differences, and he'll bring his own special characteristics. He's a very obsessive, a very thorough, detailed, compassionate, and I would say passionate advocate for the profession, with a long-term involvement in surgery in the public sector, particularly in burns, as you know. And I think that it will be a fresh face and a lot of fresh ideas about how to drive home the same advocacy points.
You have copped quite a bit of flack for calling for resignation of Health Minister Roger Cook. Do you regret that at all?
I have no regrets at all about anything I've done in my time as AMO President. I've presented my views honestly and in a forthright manner. Anyone who has failed to deliver after 4 years in any job will find that they have critics.
You have been extremely popular during the pandemic. I realise that people like to listen to you more than the government to a certain extent. Is there a reason why?
Well, I'm an independent voice. Have no allegiance to any political party, nor do I wish to develop one in the future. I have no government funding. I have no government job. I am here to represent the views of the profession as much as they can be united. There will obviously always be some different views about the best way forward, and there will be different views about what style of advocacy is the best. But one thing is for sure, we need to fight. If we don't fight, then we're not going to see improvements. That's the way that governments and politics work these days. If you just go and ask politely, unfortunately, you'll find, certainly at a state government level, that you get nothing. So I think that the AMA and others will find that we need to continue to fight for a good healthcare system going forward. And I think that people enjoy hearing a voice that is not coming from a particular angle, putting spin on things, saying things that obviously are not true, like everything's all fine in the health system. And they also enjoy hearing from people who actually do the work, rather than those who are just on the sidelines saying how things should be done.
So what sort of legacy you would like to leave behind? I mean, given that it's final countdown for you this week, Doctor.
Well, I'll still be around. I'm just getting started, really. I won't be in the presidential role, but I won't be going away. And from my point of view, I wanted to turn the AMA into a lean, mean advocating machine. That voice was heard loud and clear. I didn't anticipate that we would have a pandemic during which we would get the coverage that we've had. I didn't anticipate that we would have the public hospital crisis as bad as it is, although I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't realise that they would be running up on the rocks quite so badly at this point in time. And I'm very sad about both of those things having been the reason for our voice needing to be heard. But the public like hearing from doctors. They appreciate what we do. They know that what we're about is about combining science and compassion. So at this stage, I'm not leaving a legacy. I'm just continuing the work, and I'll be there to support the team for a long time to come.
And we can expect Mark Duncan-Smith to fight hard for us.
Yeah, then Mark Duncan-Smith will fight very hard for the community and for the profession and for a fair deal for patients and for doctors and GPs, specialists alike. I know him very well. I actually went through medical school with him a long time ago. And once he's got an idea in his head, once he's got the direction that he wants to go, he's certainly a very difficult person to stop.
The good news from us is that Dr. Andrew Miller will still be doing his commentary on this program every Sunday. It's wonderful for us to continue to have your expertise, and I'm sure that the audience will continue to tune into this show to hear what you have to say. So Dr. Miller, thank you so much for all your contributions for the last 2 years, and we wish you all the best.
Oh, well, thanks, Ivan. Thanks to you and WAMN News and all of your team. I think you do a great job getting the news out there with your particular perspective on things, and I enjoy having a chat once a week, and we can continue to do that about all sorts of topics as long as anybody wants to listen and either appreciate what we say or throw something at the screen. I don't mind. Thanks.
There are again calls today for the Tamil family to be freed from immigration detention on Christmas Island after their youngest daughter ended up in Perth's Children's Hospital with a blood infection.
A vigil was held outside the hospital today in support of Fanika and her family, calling for their freedom from the detention they've been held in since 2019. Advocates say the cruelty must end and the government should allow them to return home to Biloela in Queensland.
There's been a lot of momentum behind the campaign to free this family and let them return home to Biloela. They've spent nearly 2 years in detention on Christmas Island. It's unjust. It's unjust for any refugee and asylum seeker to be held in detention without trial. And with this family has really brought this issue to focus.
The Home Affairs Minister, Karen Andrews, doesn't seem to be moved, and the stance looks like previously exactly the same as Peter Dutton. I don't think they want to set a precedent as to let the family go. Well, what's your argument?
Well, there's a few things. Firstly, the whole policy of treating cruelly by indefinitely detaining asylum seekers is totally unjust and against the principles of international law and the Refugee Convention in any case. Furthermore, the Minister has the power to grant permanent residency to anybody. The Minister has that discretion. The Minister uses that discretion many times per year in situations that are nowhere near as pressing as this one.
It is Tanika's birthday yesterday, and obviously the family and her friends are not beside her, spending time with her. What do you think about that?
Well, it's just extraordinary. Here's a little girl who's in hospital with sepsis and pneumonia, and her family can't be by her side. Her father's still stuck there on Christmas Island. Clearly, the Minister, the federal government don't want the media focus that would come for the whole family being here, and that would add to the pressure to allow them to be settled.
And what's your hope of this outcome then?
The immediate outcome is for this family to be released and allowed to return back to the community of Biloela, where they belong, where they have roots, where their kids went to school. But the second thing I'd like to see happen is questions start to be asked again about the broader detention and turnbacks regime that has been constructed over the last decade and a half.
Finally, how's the family doing?
Look, we think they're going okay from what little bits of information we get. We're not allowed to speak with them directly because they're still technically, even though they're in the hospital, they're under detention. And we think they're holding up well in the circumstances, but we know they want to be free.
COVID-19 vaccinations are now on the rise in WA after the McGowan government expanded the availability of the jab to 30 to 49-year-olds. Bookings for the Pfizer shot rapidly increased following the announcement, but concerns are still remaining over the safety of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Nelson Liu reports.
Sleeves rolled up for WA. Claremont showgrounds packed out for COVID-19 vaccinations.
How did you feel?
Feel better. Yeah, it's good.
After a slow start over the safety of the AstraZeneca vaccine, the McGowan government has fast-tracked the jab for WA, opening it for 30 to 49-year-olds.
We want to get people vaccinated.
Recipients in the group will receive the Pfizer vaccine, but those over 50 will still only be eligible for the AstraZeneca shot.
What we're trying to do here is get as many West Australians vaccinated as quickly as possible so we can safely get through the pandemic, because we know there's always the prospect of an outbreak.
Perth has seen a sudden spike of people wanting the vaccine since the announcement on Tuesday.
I registered their interest, and of that 91,000, 65,000 have received an appointment to get vaccinated, which is terrific news.
Many of them now unfazed about the jab.
I'm really glad that I got in then. Pretty lucky.
There are still concerns about the AstraZeneca vaccine, despite the government claiming it's safe, and Premier Mark McGowan and Health Minister Roger Cook's own shots as proof.
It is effective, like any vaccine which is endorsed by the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Look, I'm between 50 and 59. I've had my AstraZeneca jab, waiting for my second one.
But they maintain the allocation is part of the national guidelines.
Based for reasons because we want to maximise the availability of the supplies that we have.
WA is well stocked with the Pfizer vaccine, with 28,000 doses arriving in the state each week, and supplies expected to rise. And with appointments booked out until August, those who have gotten the shot haven't regretted it.
No, it's good that everyone gets the jab and the whole community gets immunised.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
Howard Sattler, Perth's legendary radio broadcaster, has passed away at the age of 76. Dubbed as Perth's King of Talkback, Mr. Sattler had a distinguished career in print, radio and television. His most famous gig was on Radio 6PR. He also had a stint with us here on WAMN News, doing many exclusive interviews on personal stories and covering issues affecting Western Australia. Mr. Sattler was always larger than life, a fearless, outspoken and professional media personality. On a personal note for me, it's during that time Howard took me under his wing and taught me many things, and we had a wonderful time together. There are many memories in this little newsroom tonight, and our thoughts are with Despine and the Sattler family.
This week, the Australian Red Cross will be saying thanks a million to Aussie blood donors. World Blood Donor Week kicks off tomorrow, and the Red Cross says it's about saying thanks to people who save lives. Australia needs 31,000 blood donations per week, and David says the Red Cross is looking for more donors to roll up their sleeves and give blood.
It's actually not a scary process at all. So the needles are very quick and easy inside, and it only takes about 10 minutes to get the blood that we need from your arm. Normally gets people through. Once they've done it once and they see that it's not a big deal at all, people do love coming back and getting the free sausage roll at the end of the donation.
Australian Federal Police have arrested 5 men after 77 kilograms of heroin were allegedly found among kitchen equipment shipped from Asia. The shipment, believed to be the biggest heroin seizure in WA's history, was allegedly discovered last month. Police replaced the drugs with dummy packages before allowing the shipment to be delivered to its Bribberlake destination. 4 men were caught by police surveillance picking up the replacement packages and have been charged with drug offences, including attempting to traffic a commercial quantity of drugs.
A tentative agreement has been reached between a bipartisan group of 10 lawmakers in the United States after President Joe Biden's $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan failed to secure enough numbers. One of the major disputes is the Biden administration's plan to increase corporate tax from 21% to 28%. As 10 senators from the Democrats and Republicans both work on the National Infrastructure Framework, the prospect of a deal is still uncertain. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said the US and UK are united in affirming the importance of the Good Friday Peace Agreement, following his first meeting with US President Joe Biden. A 90-minute closed-door meeting between the pair was held just before the G7 summit in Cornwall this weekend. Other G7 countries, including Japan, Germany and France, will work together to outline a roadmap to end the pandemic.
The NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has captured images of the China National Space Administrator's Zhurong Mars rover. China is the only second nation to put a rover on Mars. The Tianwen-1 mission is believed to have arrived on Mars in mid-May, with an orbiter, a lander and a rover. The Zhurong rover is believed to be in an area of the planet called Utopia Planitia, a large plain area within the Utopia impact basin of Mars.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. You can read the latest on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
From Sarah and myself, we wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for stopping by.